Hey guys, Simon here, and thanks for stopping in and checking out the video. Today I am talking about Marvel's Spider-Man for PS4 and 10 Spider-Man suits for the developers to hopefully add into the game to offer us the widest option of choices they can for web slinging around the city. I'm sure most of you have seen or heard of these suits at one point or another, but if not, I will give a mild backstory on each one and some of the cool abilities they might have that differ from Peter's normal red and blue suit. If you guys enjoy the video, do the button thing, subscribe, and leave a comment letting me know what you think. Thanks again for watching, and here we go. This suit belongs to Kane Parker, the original clone of Peter that had some bad degeneration of his body from the cloning process, and as a result had some face scarring and one hell of a vendetta against Ben Reilly, the second clone of Peter. After he dumped the Kane suit, let's call it, he took up the mantle of the Scarlet Spider in a new suit. Well, technically it was the Stealth Spider-Man suit. After the events of Spider Island, Kane retained the stealth suit which Peter Parker created at Horizon's lab and used it against the Spider Queen. This suit gave Kane invisibility to both visual and audio means, along with immunity to sonic-based attacks. However, Madam Web did something to it that the suit is permanently stuck in a red, helping perpetuate the Scarlet Spider alias around for Kane. The suit is mostly red, except for some black on the shoulders up to the mask and some on the gloves, along with a black spider emblem similar to the symbol on the hoodie of the original Scarlet Spider suit, just smaller and positioned upright. Kane wore this suit during his story run when after Spider Island he plans on making his way to Mexico, but stops in Houston to rob some criminals for some spending cash. He ends up staying in the town to fight crime and becomes a new version of Spider-Man that is a lot more ruthless. This version of Kane had some different powers because of a few changes he went through after Spider Island. Kane now has organic weapon made by his body depending on his health and diet, and the scarring on his face and body from the cloning process has disappeared as well. He also has the ability to see in the dark as well as some form of communication with insects and spiders. From his former powers, Kane still appears to have the mark of Kane, an ability to channel energy into his hand and cause a severe burn to somebody. He also retained the two retractable stingers on the inside of each wrist. Kane no longer has his enhanced spider sense to see future events though. This ability was lost following the events of Spider Island, which reset his power levels to what Spider-Man had during the events of the other storyline. Also, he no longer has his regular spider sense and must rely solely on his normal senses and superhuman reflexes to avoid serious injury. This suit is pretty cool looking and it helps to set it apart from the other regular looking Peter Parker suits. When Spider-Man first traveled to the Negative Zone, a universe parallel to Earth's, Spider-Man's suit transformed into a white and black version of itself. Being that the Negative Zone has no color, the suit made Spider-Man seem practically invisible. Earth and the Negative Zone have many similarities, but a few noteworthy differences are: all matter in the Negative Zone is negatively charged, the Negative Zone is entirely filled with a pressurized, breathable atmosphere, and near the center of the Negative Zone is a deadly vortex of unspeakable power. Since the Negative Zone is largely uninhabited, Spider-Man befriended a group of rebels battling Blastosaur or something. I don't know. Their leader was called Dusk, who wore a shadowy suit. The Dusk title had been passed down to the group's greatest warriors to act as a symbol of freedom for their people. However, the latest person to take up the mantle had been killed shortly after Spidey arrived there. At the rebels' request, Spidey wore the costume and led the rebels to victory. Spider-Man was allowed to take the suit home with him afterwards and later uses it for another suit of his own down the road. The stealth suit, also known as the Big Time suit, was created by Peter when he worked at Horizon Labs. It was developed to fight a new Hobgoblin sonic scream attacks. The suit provided Peter and later Kane with immunity to sonic-based attacks and had new abilities with bending light that allowed the suit to become invisible and go into different types of stealth modes. The suit was originally black with a neon light that was an orange spider symbol over the body. This symbol can change color, denoting the abilities the suit is using. It should be noted a second version of the suit was made by Doc Ock when he took over Peter's body and was stored for later use for Peter. Anyway, the abilities. Green allows the suit to go invisible to both visual and audio means except from certain frequencies. Red allows the suit to cancel out all sonic-based attacks on said person, which also hampers whoever is wearing the suit's ability to hear. It also comes with spider tracers which can be fired from the web shooters. The suit is also fireproof and can heal itself with but a thought from the wearer due to it being made from unstable molecules. The suit was later loaned out to Kane during the Spider Island story, which I talked about earlier, which he ends up keeping at the advising of Madam Web, who alters the costume to appear red to perpetuate Kane's new identity as the Scarlet Spider and to separate him from the other Spider-Men, as I sort of stated beforehand. Having some of these abilities with the suits would be a lot of fun in the game if we learn how to use them against certain villains or bad guys. One downfall of the suit is that it does have to be charged in order for some of these abilities to be used though. This one isn't so much a suit as some bad science gone wrong for Peter. During a hard time in Peter's life when Harry became a junkie, Captain Stacy died, and everyone hated Spider-Man, Peter had had enough. He makes a chemical cocktail, intending to get rid of his spider powers for good. Peter takes the cocktail and falls into a troubled sleep in which he fights all of his enemies while enduring excruciating pain in his sides. When he wakes up, he notices a ghastly thing. He has 6 arms. The potion that was supposed to take away his powers instead increased them and gave him 4 new arms. This storyline takes place in The Amazing Spider-Man and is the first appearance of Morbius the Living Vampire. Spider-Man goes to Dr. Kirk Connors to try and find a cure by his friend, only to have a confrontation with Morbius, who then turns Connors into the lizard. However, Morbius infects the lizard when feeding on him, and with an enzyme which allows the lizard to retain the Dr. Connors part of his mind. After fighting off Morbius, the two make an antidote that turns both of them back to their normal selves. Still a fun looking appearance to have in the game and run around with. Most people might better remember this image from the 90s animated Spider-Man TV show. In this version, Spider-Man was changing because of the spider bite and mutating. He has a friend make him a cocktail, but it goes wrong and he ends up with 6 arms and has to fight Morbius and the Punisher during this ordeal, in which he later turns into... During a trip to the Savage Land, Peter Parker and Warren Worthington III, Archangel from the X-Men, were captured by the Savage Land mutants created by Magneto. The mutants' leader, Brainchild, used them as guinea pigs in a machine that devolved them into primordial forms. Spider-Man was transformed into a monstrous man-spider hybrid with fangs, 8 eyes, 6 arms, and hands turned into hairy claws. They were then sent to attack Kazaa, self-styled lord of the Savage Land, and his allies, the Fallen People tribe. Although conditioned to obey Brainchild, Parker's consciousness reawoke within the man-spider. Horrified at what he had become, he promptly abandoned the battle. Spider-Man and Angel were later cured when Karl Lycos drained their mutant energies and turned himself back into his alter ego, Sauron. Years later, an encounter with the evil villain Plant Man saw Spider-Man exposed to a mutagenic pollen which partially transformed him into a misshapen creature similar to his previous man-spider form. He managed to force Plant Man to hand over the antidote though, and changed back. This suit was applied to Spider-Man when he was grievously injured fighting the Sinister Six. Spider-Man and a mercenary named Solo attack the Sinister Six, but Mysterio uses his technology to create an illusion that made it appear that Solo was attacking the Sinister Six. However, Solo was really attacking Spider-Man. Before Solo could kill Spider-Man, he was shot several times in the back but survived because of his armor. Spider-Man was saved by a man named Cyborg X. Cyborg X then takes Spider-Man to a scientist named Oscar McDonald, and he saves Spider-Man's life by turning him into a cyborg. Sort of. Spider-Man is fitted with a robotic arm to protect his now broken one, a lens to help his vision, and some stitches because he got his ass kicked. This look is similar to that of Deathlock, a robot from the future whom Spider-Man later comes across in the story, but he doesn't recognize Spider-Man because of a comic book, time travel, dimensional, blah bloobity blah. Anyway, Spider-Man fights alongside him like this, and when it was all said and done, got better and dumped the gear. A cool looking suit though for a badass Spider-Man. This suit is more just a common thing for Spider-Man. He has often commented on having a battle-damaged suit from fights. This can be anything to tears in the suit, lenses cracked or missing in the mask, pieces of his mask missing showing his mouth, or any other number of things. Normally with the tears in the suit, Peter will also have a fair amount of blood on the suit as well from cuts on his body or from parts of his face. Sometimes you can also see certain aspects of the suit that you might not know about due to the damage. For instance, from the animated series Battle Damaged Figure, this version of Spider-Man had a belt where he kept a mini camera to help him take pictures during fights to sell to the Beautiful. This would be a fun thing for them to have in the game, so you could try selling them and make some extra cash or earn extra experience to level up with. Again, this idea is something that will probably happen to his suit as the game goes on, but like I said, something for fun to add. This suit I believe is already confirmed for the game but has not been announced yet. This suit made its first appearance in the Shattered Dimensions Spider-Man game. This was a Marvel universe that was set after the Great Depression, and it had a mob crime 1950s 20s style vibe to it. In this version, Spider-Man was a reporter and crime fighter that didn't mind using guns, at least in the comic version, not the Shattered Dimensions game. He gains his powers from a spider but in a different way, and makes his costume styled after his Uncle Ben's airman uniform and takes to the streets fighting crime. There is a lot of backstory to this alternate universe Spider-Man. Long story short, this suit is seen as a sort of detective-like garb. It's mostly gray and black. Sometimes Spider-Man wears a trench coat and fedora with the suit. Big black goggles cover his face and a black mask. Regular pants with a sort of vest coat over a long sleeve shirt and black gloves make up this Spider-Man suit. Also, he uses guns. This Peter was raised differently than his 616 counterpart, but doesn't continue to kill people after he is admonished for doing it by his Aunt May. Outside of this, the Spider-Man can make organic webbing, has a spider sense, has his agility, his wall crawling, and his strength. This suit was well received, and because of it, it's making a comeback. This suit came to be after, well, basically the Scarlet Witch went nuts and Magneto used her to write history to his liking. Here, mutants ran the world and humans were the minority, and there were a lot of differences, such as Dr. Doom running the Fantastic Four and Peter Parker being happy. His uncle was alive, Gwen was alive, and he was married to her, and people loved Spider-Man. His life was great, until Wolverine found him and ruined that by telling him what the real story was. Aside from that, he was also having reoccurring nightmares from the 616 universe. These nightmares were so bad it drove Peter to become the Green Goblin in this timeline. He gets his head straight later on though and fakes his own death. This suit was pretty cool looking. No special anything with functions or new abilities. This suit was the classic red and blue with a different pattern. This time the red on the upper body of the suit forms the face of a spider with its mandibles on the chest, while on the back the red forms the larger body of a spider and with a few legs coming off of it. The webbing pattern is the same as always over the red, and the blue on the suit forms the outline for the rest of the suit, filling in the image of the spider on the front and the back. Also, some of the red runs over the top of his arms and some on his boots. A pattern of red runs over the top of Spider-Man's hands, similar to the white on the black suit. One of the other differences with this Peter is that he is bald, which that's the only thing they should really add to the game. Just make this Spider-Man suit make Peter bald. This costume was given to Spider-Man upon him joining the Fantastic Four as part of Johnny Storm's last will and testament. It was a white and black color scheme, can never get dirty because it is made of unstable molecules, and it can also change into his original red and blue suit or regular clothes with but a thought, similar to how the symbiote was. This feature is one that made this suit a staple in Peter's closet because it can change to look like any of his other suits or even street clothes if needs be. The suit can also go into stealth mode, turning black where it's white and vice versa, just like the other members' suits. Spider-Man mostly wore this with a future foundation. This group was formed when Reed Richards decided to put together a team of some of the brightest young science minds to try and solve bigger world problems for the betterment of future generations. Even Dr. Doom was a member of this group. The suit sort of went away after the series ended and Marvel put the Fantastic Four on the shelf, but with them making their way back into the fold of Marvel this August, who knows when this suit will make a turn and come back. It's very cool and sleek looking, almost a reverse of the black suit, minus the spider symbol of course. The few abilities it has, such as changing its appearance, going stealth, and never getting dirty is what makes it so amazing. Allow us to maybe change from street clothes to this, and then into a stealth mode where no one can see us. It would be so much fun in challenges where we must sneak around and web people up without them knowing we're there. Well guys, again, that is all I have for you on this video. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and got something out of it. I hope some of these suits find their way into the game, but if not, there is always the next Spider-Man game or possible sequel to this one. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, again, leave a comment, a like, something, let me know you're here, and tell me how shitty I am. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.